Good morning, everybody, and this is your DAX day trade setups for today. So another big up and big down day. Quite a big pin bar that formed yesterday, but no follow through off it. And the other thing that does concern me about the pin bar, it wasn't off a lower level, but it definitely was off this structure here on the 8th hour. So that is at 15,128. We do have this crossover here of the oscillators, and we are pointing up. So this is bullish, but we're below the moving averages, which is bearish. We're below the 150 EMA, which is bearish. So a little bit of, well, no, not a little bit, a lot of confusion at the moment. And we have these very strong weekly levels. And I think you see it pretty much on the daily. When you see, it's more of a longer tail for the downside, but anyway, that is a range bar, and then we've got a crossover on the daily of the oscillator, so that is bearish on the daily. So what this is looking like on the daily is strong move down, consolidation flag, looking for a break and a continuation to the downside. However, and this is the part that I am stressing about going short, is that I have all of the structure here. So, I can be ambushed at any time. I'm just going to leave this tail in here because it does still coincide with this weekly gap, which technically is still open. And we've also got a weekly gap to the upside, which is also technically open. So, yeah, I am very, very cautious at the moment. And if you look at what's happened to the start of this week already, tail to the downside, tail to the upside, that is barbed wire, that is confusion. The only thing constant here is we are below the moving averages, and we are trying to reject them, and my oscillators have separated, and it does look like another move to the downside. But again, I am extremely cautious. This gap is obviously still open. You can see we've only got tails here. We don't have a body closed down here. So 15,128 does look like it's going to be visited again. And then, there's some clear, it's probably coming from here somewhere. Do that. Oh, that's not even structure. So normally what happens is you see this kind of level that's been respected for the sellers. If you look left, you'll normally see some more structure somewhere in this region, but all you see is this cluster of candles here. So obviously somewhere along the line on some higher time frame or even lower time frame, there's definitely some buying and selling off this diagonal as well. So especially when it's a clear angle like that. So that's the one thing. Then obviously you've got this one here. So this could be strong move up, consolidation, break. But again, we've got this strong area of weekly support here. So I'm very, very hesitant to try and jump in short when I've got weekly support like that, because it's always a recipe for disaster. I don't think I've ever not lost money doing that kind of thing. So looking at the 3 hour, this is really an indication that I need to sit back. And looking at the 1 hour, it's just reinforced. So, yesterday what we were looking for is some structure off one of these levels for the buyers to come in, but all that happened is we came all the way back down here to 15,128. And you can see on the hour, this level is still, this gap here is still open. So the gap sits at 15,125. So that's still open. So I think for me, let's just get rid of the diagonal. Well, actually, before we do that, you can see there that swing low onto the diagonal there. So clearly this has had some influence in the past, but that's typically how it works. I'm just going to delete the diagonal just to simplify the charts for us, and I'm going to do that. So that is our range. We have a zone of support here, which is weekly support, which I am very reluctant to try and second guess to the downside. That's 15,125 is a gap, and then 15,058 is another big weekly level. And I can actually just go down a couple more, probably for the next 100 pips or so. There are other weekly levels there as well. So very reluctant to jump in short with this. Our moving averages are flat. That indicates range. We're in between the moving averages here, which is range. Sorry, let's get the 15-minute. And when we look at the 15-minute, we are above, below, above the moving averages in a single day. That is confusion and range. So what we were looking for yesterday is this break up and retest to continue. It never happened. We rejected immediately to the downside, rejected again, back into the middle. So the only trade that I am really interested in looking for is a break and retest of 15,287. So I want to see a decent break and a pull back onto that to see what's going to happen. My oscillators are not helping me at all, not giving any indication of what's going on. And I've got a gap to the downside here, and then I've got a gap to the upside as well. Let's just put that gap in. So the reality is, what you probably find is we close the body here and then plummet back into the end here. This gap is still open. I suspect it is going to close sometime. Whether it's today or this week is another story. But the short story here is I have zero interest in jumping in on this. So I'm going to be going on a bit of a road trip, which is probably why the charts are doing this, just marking time until I get back, and then we'll pick up on a trend and get the opportunity to go in. So I'm not so sure I even want to bother with this today. So the S&P is exactly the same. There's a lot of confusion. There's some good economic data that came out yesterday, but I think we're waiting for confirmation from earnings at the moment. So watch out for your retailers, watch out for your banks. Banks should be happening now anyway. Watch out for luxury goods. So if there's any decline in retail, specifically luxury goods, that'll give you an indication that spending is tightening in the economy, which means the economy is going to be affected negatively. Bad debt means people can't pay their bills, which also is going to impact the economy negatively. So just watch for those key markers. But retail sales number came out yesterday and it was good. It was better than expected. So yeah, it's a difficult one to second guess at the moment. So anyway, I think I'm going to stay out of this until we get a clear break, and I'm not interested in shorts. Not until we clear that weekly zone and come back and reject the weekly zone will I be looking for shorts. So I'm not happy to jump in short when I have such strong weekly levels to left. I've been burned so many times that it is safer just to make interest on my money in the bank rather than try and risk it on the markets. So that's kind of my view. Hope it helps you somewhat, and we will not see you tomorrow, but we'll definitely see you on Tuesday next week. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll catch up later. Cheers for now.